So in chapter 12, we were looking at more in depth of what a product actually is. And basically, a product can be broken down into two different groups. So the first category would be a good, which is, something that you can physically touch. And then the second category would be a service. So, looking further in depth at what a good actually is, basically, when you give someone money, you're buying something, you get a physical thing in return. Um, this is something that manufacturers can, produce uh, and ship, sort of thing. Um, there is sort of a thing where, in a sense, it does provide an advantage over a service. I think, like when you think about it, because like you can ship those products to different parts of the world, different parts of the country, so you're able to do that. A service, on the other hand, is more of it's something that's intangible. So basically, a haircut is a good example. That's always the first thing that comes to mind when I think of a service. So you're paying someone to do a job for you. Um, you're not getting anything physical in return. Um, you're just getting a job done. So figuring out, the quality of a good or a service, it's easier to tell the quality of a good because, I mean, you can physically see it. You can tell if it's cheap. You can tell if it's put together properly, stuff like that. Um, a service, on the other hand, can be hard to tell sometimes. Um, basically, the quality of a service can be defined as in, is the customer satisfied? So, with a haircut, am I going to look in the mirror and be like, I'm not a fan of that? Or am I going to look at it and be like, you know what, that looks really good? I mean, for me, I covered up my hair up with a hat anyways, so it doesn't really matter. Um, but that sort of thing. Um, it basically comes down to the customer's sort of viewpoint on how the service was done. Um, there are some things that kind of fall in between those two, which would be a good service, good services continuum, which would be something that would provide a little bit of both. Um, for example, I know in class we talked about restaurants. They're providing the goods, as in the food, so you're going there to physically get some food. Um, and on top of that, they're providing a service. They're giving you your food, they're preparing your food, making you feel welcome, stuff like that when you go in. So that's something that kind of falls in between. So looking past that, um, it it can further be broken down into two other groups. So there is the consumer products, and then there's the business products. So basically, consumer products can be broken down into three groups. Um, there you have your specialty items or products or whatever. Um, this is more things that people are going to be more loyal to. So more expensive things. If you have uh, an example could be perfume. If you really like your perfume or your cologne or something like that, you want to stick with one company and keep buying that product. Something that you can get only at select stores, and you're going to keep going back to that. You're not going to buy an alternative to what you want. You're going to wait till you get that. Um, Specialty items are easier to find examples of, like, goods. A service for like a specialty product could be tattoos. If you want the best tattoos possible, you're gonna wait to go to your favorite tattoo artist, and get that done. You're gonna spend a lot of money on that, but you're gonna wait. You're not gonna just get some random guy to do it for you. So that's sort of a service that I can think of that would fall under that category. The next category would be convenience products. I know we talked about in class things that are like right there when you're checking out, like chocolate bars, could be drinks, something like that. I know chocolate bars are like, chocolate's my weakness, so I always take a chocolate bar whenever I see it. Just something that you can easily grab like that. It's just nice and convenient. You don't really care what company it is, as long as it's going to quickly satisfy that sort of craving or something, depending on what you want. Usually chocolate bars and candy are like the easiest example. After that, there is the shopping products. These are things that people aren't going to just buy randomly. They're going to put in a little bit of thought into it. It might be a little bit more expensive, something like that, but it's not such as like a specialty product. So you could potentially go to an alternative brand. You'd prefer your regular one, but if something else maybe has a better deal or something like that, you might go for that one. Something that I can think of would be like a laptop. I know that's how I bought mine. I prefer Dell, but Asus had a better deal for me, and that's what I went to. So stuff like that. You have a little bit of brand loyalty, but not as much as specialty products. The other category would be business products. So we looked at consumer products, now we're looking at business products. You have your first one would be capital type. This would be large equipment, big, huge purchases that companies could need, or something like that, like farming equipment, big things like that. Then you have your production type. These are things that you buy in order to make other products. So if you want to put out a certain product, you need something else to make this. So those are the types of purchases for that. And then you have your operational products. These are the things that you buy for day-to-day operations. Something that's going to be used frequently, all the time. It could wear down quickly, something like that. You're going to keep on buying it. Those three categories are like the business products. Lastly, you have the product life cycle, which is basically a guide to the life of a product. So you have your introduction stage, which is when a product gets introduced. You're starting to market it more, trying to get the word out so people know about your product and want to buy it. Then, if it makes it past that stage, you have the growth stage. This stage is when most people are buying it. You're going to have your higher profits during this stage. So there's a lot of pros during this stage. That's the stage you want to get your company or your product into. A con to that would be there's a lot of competition, because they see that product having success. They want to get into it. More and more companies start making it, and a lot of competition is made or created. After the growth stage, you have the maturity stage. This is where it starts to even out a little bit. This is because it could be becomes obsolete. It's no longer needed, or maybe a newer product has come out and yours is just outdated. So those are two reasons that people start to stop buying it. That's why it starts to flatten out, oversaturated, stuff like that. Your profits are going to go down. Your sales, um, stuff like that. You could keep selling at that level, um, but with more competition, you might have to bring down your price, and therefore your profits could go down. After the maturity stage, you have the decline stage, which is when your product starts to reach the end of its life. Like I said before, I think I kind of jumped the gun a little bit earlier on. This is when it's basically obsolete. There's no use for it anymore. People don't see any value in it, and this is where companies need to think and act quickly, because there might be potential to kind of innovate that product or try and find a new market. And these are the things that they have to think of quickly in order to keep success of their company, stuff like that, and keep making profits. But yeah, so that's basically the product life cycle.